Hi, I'm David Maldo, and in this video, I'm going to bring up the view from 4 different webcams so that you can compare them side by side. This is one of a series of videos comparing over a dozen webcams. We're doing them in a round robin so you can see each of them in a head-to-head. Before we get started, a quick disclaimer. Logitech has sponsored this series of videos. However, they asked me to keep it neutral. I'm not going to share any of my own opinions. I'm just going to show it to you and let you see for yourselves. As part of keeping things fair, I'm leaving all the cameras on their default settings. Usually I like to tweak the brightness, the contrast, to try to optimize things, but I don't want to subconsciously bias anything in favor of one camera over another, so I'm just going to leave everything on their defaults. Okay, so let's bring up our 4 cameras. In this video, we're going to compare the Logitech Brio, the Logitech C310, the Nexigo N620, and the CA Cyber Acoustic Essential. The first thing we look at is what we call the aspect ratio, and that just means the shape of our window. All 4 of these cameras are providing a 16:9 aspect ratio, and that just means for every 16 pixels or every 16 inches or centimeters across, there's 9 going up and down. So the result is this familiar rectangle shape, which is really what most of the video apps on your computer are looking for. Related to the aspect ratio is the field of view, or how wide of a shot are we getting? How much of the room are we covering? Can we bring in colleagues to sit next to us to join us in a meeting if we need to? And if we talk with our hands, how much of that comes through when we talk with our hands? The next thing we're going to look at is distortion. Basically, do our straight lines look straight? Now, to be fair, these cameras are doing a pretty tough job. They're trying to focus in on me, but they're also trying to capture the room. So inevitably there'll be some curvature around the edges, but we don't want it to be too bad. So to help you judge, I try to include a bunch of straight lines behind me. The lines on the cabinet should be straight, the curtain rod that holds up my green screen should be straight, the guitar necks, if I want them to play well, should be straight. So judge for yourself how these lines look. The next thing we're going to look at is our color. And like I said before, this is the kind of thing I usually would improve in the settings, but for the purpose of this comparison, we're just going with the defaults. So I try to include one of just about every color behind me so you can have a good color comparison. We have some orange, some green, some purple, some blue, some red, one of just about everything. And when looking at color, remember there's 2 things that really matter. One is, how does it look? The blue, does it look like a nice blue to you? The second, does it look right? Unless you've been in my office, well, you don't know if this blue is the right blue. But that's why I included the Coca-Cola box. We all know what Coca-Cola red looks like. So take a look and say, see if it looks like the right red to you. The next thing we want to compare is exposure, or how well the cameras handle light. Lighting is tricky, and like many homeworkers, I just don't have ideal lighting. I have a couple bright lights right in front of me, and they're probably overexposing me, and I don't have proper lighting everywhere else in the room, so I have a bunch of shadows. So decide for yourself how well you think each of these cameras is dealing with my typically less than ideal lighting. The next thing we want to look at is the sharpness or clarity of the image, and that's generally defined by the resolution of the camera. The Logitech C310 is 720p resolution. That means there's 720 pixels up and down and 1280 going across. I consider 720p and anything above it to be high definition. The other 3 cameras are currently sending 1080p, which is 1920 pixels across and 1080 pixels up and down. This is a higher resolution. More pixels should provide more definition. I should note here that the Brio is actually capable of 4K, which is even higher than 1080p. I only have it sending 1080p because I record my YouTube videos in 1080p. While very few business video call apps currently support 4K, it's still nice because there's so many pixels on the screen. If you zoom in, you could still be at 1080p. You could still be at high resolution. The last thing we're going to test is the audio. All 4 of these webcams have an internal microphone. Up till now, I've been using this Logitech Zone headset to keep it neutral between the 4 cameras, but I'm going to switch to each of these cameras in turn. In order to make this a real-world test, we're going to add a couple things. The first, I don't even have to add. It's background noise. I have a very loud air conditioner going back there, and the fans on my computer are just humming away. The other thing we're going to add is some crowd noise, if we have some noisy coworkers. So let me play this file through my computer so you could hear it. So I have that file. Very rude coworkers, on my phone. I'm going to play it right now. And you're probably not hearing it because this headset is designed to not hear that. But I'm going to play that, and we'll see how well the webcams deal with it. You're now hearing me through the Logitech Brio. So decide how well I sound to you. If we were in a long meeting, can you understand what I'm saying? Can we work together this way? How well is it dealing with my background noise? Do you hear my computer fans, my air conditioner? And let's play our noisy co-workers. Can you still make out what I'm saying? Can we still get work done, have a meeting together, even if I'm having to deal with some new coworkers here. And while we're here, and to give you some more time to hear the audio, let's go over everything else we went over so far. So what do you think about our field of view? Can I talk with my hands? Could I have someone else working with me? How is our distortion? Do our straight lines look right on my cabinet, curtain rods? How is our color? Does my blue look nice? And does my Coca-Cola red look like Coca-Cola red and not just any red? How's our exposure? How is the camera dealing with the really too much light in some places and not enough in other places? And finally, the sharpness, the clarity. Look at the details of the items behind me on the wall. Does it look really nice and clear? And with that, let's go on to our next camera. You're now hearing me through the Logitech C310. Again, subjectively, how does this sound to you? If you were in a long meeting with me, could you understand what I'm saying? Could we get any work done? How well is it dealing with the background noise? You're my computer fans, my air conditioner. Let's say if I'm working in a noisy environment, can you make out what I'm saying over the background noise? Can we still get our work done together? And as long as we're here, let's take a look at everything else we talked about. Our field of view, if we wanted to use this to have coworkers, can I talk with my hands? Is the field of view big enough? How do our straight lines look? Do the lines on the items on the wall, the cabinet look nice and straight? How's our color? Does our Coca-Cola red look like what we all know to be Coca-Cola red? How's the exposure? Dealing with my less than perfect lighting. And finally, what do you think about the sharpness and clarity? The lines behind me, the items on the wall, the details. And with that, let's move on to our next camera. You're now hearing me through the Nexigo N620. And again, subjectively, how does this sound to you? If we were meeting, would you be comfortable getting work done with me? How well is it dealing with my background noise, my air conditioner, my computer fans? If I'm working in a noisy environment, can you distinguish my voice from the background voices? Can we still get our work done? And again, as long as we're here, let's check off everything else on our list. What do we think about our field of view, talking with my hands, having a coworker on the screen? Our straight lines, the lines on the items on the walls behind us, the cabinet look nice and straight. Our color, do our colors look good to us? And does our Coca-Cola red look like Coca-Cola red? The exposure, how well is this camera dealing with my not terrible, but not great lighting? And finally, on sharpness, what do you think about the clarity, the clarity of the detail of the things on the wall behind me? And with that, let's move on to our last camera. You're now hearing me on the CyberAcoustics CA Essential webcam. And again, how do I sound to you subjectively? If we were in a long meeting, could you understand everything I'm saying? How is it dealing with the background noise, my computer fans, and air conditioner? Let's bring up our crowd noise. If there's other people talking in the room, can you make out what I'm saying over what they're saying? And again, while we're here, let's check out a closer look at everything else on our list. What do you think about the field of view? If I wanted to have a coworker here with me, or if I'm talking with my hands, how well does that come across? How do our lines look? How is our distortion? The things that should be straight lines, our cabinet, our curtains, do our lines look straight? What do you think about the color? Does the blue look like a nice blue? And does the Coca-Cola red look like Coca-Cola red? Our exposure, how well is it dealing with my too bright lighting in some places and not enough lighting in other places? And finally, the sharpness, the clarity of the images behind me. And I do have to note at this point, it looks like it's struggling to decide whether it should focus in on me or the items behind me. It looks like it's shifting. Maybe it's something that I would be able to adjust in the setting, but just something I couldn't help but note. Now, obviously, audio is pretty subjective, but you know what sounds good to you. And remember here, the purpose is for business meetings. If we're meeting for an hour, I don't want you straining the entire time to make out what I'm saying. I want us just to be focused on the work. So that wraps up this video. I hope you check out the rest of the series to see all the head-to-head matchups, and I hope you found this helpful. Thanks for watching.